right, today we're on the Kona Satori DL. It's kind of a mid-travel cross-country bike. Got 140 millimeters of travel in the front, 130 in the rear, and 29-inch wheels. One of the most profound features of this bike right off the bat is the very steep seat angle. It's steeper than 78 degrees, which gives the bike a pretty interesting characteristic. I do find right away that the fit would probably cater to somebody with kind of shorter arms. I do feel like this distance is a little short, the top tube, kind of cockpit size. Feels a little bit short to my body, but I have really long arms. The spec on this bike is kind of like a medium end build. They went with the RockShox Revelation up front, which feels a bit dated compared to the brand new dampers. This bike's got the GX Eagle 12 speed, which is great. Gives you quite a bit of range. I picked out this trailhead in particular. It's a pretty grueling climb that's got lots of rocks and roots that are pretty hard to clear. So I'm excited to see how the more vertical C-tube angle handles these climbs, and right off the bat it just feels like my weight is in a really great position that keeps me balanced. And I would just say the whole geometry of the bike really likes to climb. It's got a 68-degree head angle, which kind of saves some steering on the climb up. I think we live in this era of, long, low, and slack bikes, and everything seems to get more cranked to the 10 on the dial. And Kona seems to have done that with the seat tube angle, but they remain relatively conservative with some of the other angles. Coming up on a pretty tough part of this climb. Just gonna see how this bike reacts. Wow, that feels really good. That was honestly pretty easy. Wow. Yeah, just jumped right up that. Yeah, honestly, this bike gives you a huge edge with harder climb features. Just feel like I'm in the right position. My weight distribution's right. And of course, the 29-inch wheels all help a ton. This is one of the first Konas I've ridden, and I was pretty intrigued by the fused rear end. It's actually essentially completely missing a pivot. It's just a completely welded rear end that flexes just slightly instead of adding an extra suspension pivot. And I found that it does kill some of the plushness of the bike, but it also seems to add this kind of like hardtail snappiness, which is really interesting. You just have to ride it to understand what I'm talking about, but it's certainly an interesting system that was new to me. I gotta say, it's real playful feeling. It's got a pretty short rear end, and it really likes to be pumped hard, especially like a mid-corner pump. It's got a lot of kind of energy return. I do find that the fused rear end seems to not be quite as plush over the sharper objects on the trail, but it also has this half hardtail feel to it, which just feels really cool. It's a really fun time. This thing is very poppy and playful. And I love how low you can get the bars in the corners. So who is this bike for? I'd say it's for people who want to be out on their bike all day doing epics, climbing. They need an efficient pedaling bike that also can handle some decent descents. They're not looking to just crush downhill descents, and you might even say they don't live for the downhills, but the whole experience. I think that's who this bike kind of caters towards. It's got a lot of soul. So if you like this video, go ahead and hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. And for the full write-up, go to freehubmag.com.